Hello people, today I have with us the Gundam Build Divers RX-Zeromaru, which is IMA's mobile suit and SD Gundam from that series. There are a couple write-ups here if you wanted me to take a look at those. This is an SD type Gunpla assembled by IMA. Its concept came from a combination of the Unicorn Gundam and a Ninja. Its normal Shinobi form uses the Destroy mode as its motif, and the Gunpla uses its small SD proportions and displays high mobility to the point where it can create copies of itself. Its Kakura form, it uses the Unicorn mode as its motif, and it enhances sensors and blends into the surrounding fields with optical camouflage, enabling high information gathering abilities and stealth. Although it was completed as a genuine SD Gunpla, it was accompanied by the Armed Armor Hattori, a bird-shaped mech, which allows it to pull out the true hidden strengths of the Unicorn Gundam. There's also write-ups about SD Gundams and about IMA, but I'm more interested in the Gunpla itself. And as you can see, it is a really cute SD Gundam, shaped like the Unicorn Gundam. Now, this one really stuck out to me in the show. I think the idea of using an SD Gundam is really funny because, you know, the show, it features an online game where you build a Gunpla in real life and then scan it into the game. An SD Gundam wouldn't be your first choice, more than likely. That said, this one really did perform well. It uses abilities that the Unicorn Gundam has, and it uses that really cool stealth features that I just told you about on the write-up to its advantage. And probably a lot of people will see an SD Gundam and say, ha, what a joke. So I definitely think it's an idea if this ever came into existence in real life. I doubt it would, but it would be fun to think about. In any case, this thing is really cool. It is packed with a lot of features, with a lot of detail, a lot of stickers, and it's just got a lot of charm, I think. The proportions are a little different than what you would see in most SD Gundams. It's a little bit taller than your standard Gunpla in the SD line. That is because it's based off of the cross silhouette. So it does have those longer proportions and more articulation than a normal SD Gundam would have. I can show you those in just a bit, but I did want to show you what you can see right off the top. The weapons, the features. So you got the kunai in the back. You got that real cool cross shield, which is also a giant shuriken. The scarf here. There is a little sword tucked in here. If you pull this out, you can see you've got a little blade. And all of these have little names. I'll go ahead and list them off in just a second. Let's see. You wait there while I start reading. So the shuriken is known as the shield shuriken. It's a large shuriken created by combining shields that can be used as dual-bladed swords. And the ninjato, that little sword, is a melee armament that can switch to beam ninjato mode. It has a sharp cutting edge. The kunai are small throwing blades that can also be coated with a beam blade like the ninjato. It can be attached to the front arm and used for battle styles, much like the beam tonfas of the Unicorn Gundam. And then there is the rifle here, the Tanakashima rifle. It uses the same matchlock gun motif armament with the same name as one equipped by the Musha Gundam. So you can tell the ideas that she came up with are very ninjutsu inspired. So you get that era of weaponry, matchlock kind of weapon, the kunai from ninjas. You also get a sort of falcon, and that is the Armed Armor Hattori. It does stand on its own. My misshapen diorama is trying to make him fall over. But you can tell already what those parts are used for. You have a very obvious looking leg section there for the wings, and then everything else is going to be used as armor on the transformation mode, which comes later on. So let's go ahead and go to the articulation. I will show you what this guy can do. Right here we have the head. The head moves on a nice ball joint at the top. It does have a little bit of rocking, but it is a lot tighter and a little bit different than what you see on most normal unicorn. But most most normal SD Gundams. This one isn't meant to come off as easily as it did, but I did press it off. It is articulated here if you wanted to move that around. It's supposed to stay down in this mode, and it goes up in unicorn mode, or the NTD mode. Putting that one back aside, we have a ball joint inside the shoulder here. This is actually on a swivel too, so you can move that quite a lot inside that body. If you've ever built an SD, you know what I'm talking about. I mean an SD cross silhouette. So you have a lot of motion forward and back and up and down up at the shoulder. You also have a ball joint up inside this shoulder section, so you can move that around as well. And then there is an elbow joint, which a lot of SDs don't have, but this one does. You can move that quite a lot, actually, if you don't have the weapon in hand. So you get a little bit more than 90 degrees there. Pretty cool for something so small. Putting that back. There is a very slight rotation here, but that's because everything at the back kind of limits how you can move that. It's more of a rocking motion because it is on a ball joint. You can kind of do that. And then we will move to the legs since I went ahead and moved that off. There is no articulation at this hip inside here. That just stays steady. But you can see this section here can swivel inside the upper thigh. And this one is a nice joint, which moves quite a bit. It's just slightly less than 90 degrees. And then on a ball joint at the foot. So you can get what you would normally get out of a ball joint. And then there is a ball joint here as well on the ankle guard. Not a lot, but there is more articulation than you would normally see on an SD Gundam. So of course this is in its destroy mode. You can swap things around to get it to be in the unicorn mode. So you can close this. That is a form of articulation too that I didn't show you. And you can actually lower the face guard. What I would do is probably paint that line there so that it has that nice red as well as everything else. Because even though it is in unicorn mode, you can't close up all those things. Apparently it's supposed to be optically camouflaged, which would be cool if you had it in a transparent color. That would be actually really cool. But since it's in this mode, I would definitely paint that line red so he has that kind of look. You also, if you were going to put it in unicorn mode, you're supposed to flip these over so that it looks like it's nice and relaxed. I do like them with their the points up, but it does look kind of cool like this. I do like that look. Now you can see there's a lot of points of attachment, and that would be to combine this armed armor, which doesn't have a lot of articulation. You can move the legs, the wings a little bit here, so it looks like he's diving, or back out so that it looks like he's soaring. The feet do rotate here, and mostly they pop off. But it is a pretty cool looking little bird. You can tell that it's supposed to be a falcon, even though you can tell what it is made up of. It is also a weapon, so of course it does have that long length that you would normally ascribe to a rifle. It's still a pretty cool little accessory if you want to keep it in SD form, which I do believe I'm going to do at the end of the day. It is a really nice look. I do like how it looks in unicorn mode, but in destroy mode it is, in my opinion, a lot better. It definitely looks like a unicorn Gundam, and that is really rad. Now I'm going to go ahead and swap parts around, get him up to his real type mode, as they call it, and we'll go from there. Actually, before I do that, let me go ahead and show you that it does come with another set of hands. These are the, I don't know what you call them, but, you know, every ninja has to have some hands like this. You have to have that pointy stuff. I wish they had a just regular flat hand so that it looks like he's doing the stop gesture, but it is what it is. Nothing bad. let me go ahead and start changing everything over to the real type mode, and we will see how that looks. All right, and here she is in new type form. So as you can see, a lot of that bird transformed into parts to put these longer limb sections together. You get the feet of the bird to be her arm guards. Some of those little thrusters now become part of her arms and thighs. The long calf section here was obviously those wings, which fold up so the flames actually tuck in behind and add another red flare to it. And it's kind of a lot. My favorite part about it is that the head stays on. It just kind of appears in the back. You just plug in the handles that you use for some of the weapons here, you know, like this one to mount it on the back. You just put it on the heads, and now you have that available. They also give you some add-ons for your weapons. So the sword, the katana here now becomes a beam katana. Your kunai that were attached to the arms before now have a beam burst effect to them. You do get rid of the little scarf section, which also the long section becomes that beam. And you move some of the parts around on the bird to become this big beam rifle. Now, they all have names. I wish it was a little bit more organized, but this is the Ninto Do form. This is the Gunpla activating the special system named Ninto Do, which is the NTD, and combined with the armed armor Hattori, changing it from SD proportions to realistic proportions. This enables the Gunpla to have functions that match those of the NTD installed in the Unicorn Gundam by completely releasing its power for a limited amount of time, such as enhancing the capabilities of the mobile suit with the Psycho frame, and obtaining the ability of the Saikamu jacking to take over opponents' remote-controlled armaments using its communication devices, which makes it the MS known to be the Beast of Possibility. So the rifle is now called the Magunashiki Tenegashimi, which is a powerful gun which fires a charge equal to 4 Tanegashima rifle rounds. The armed armor Hattori was created with the Magunashiki Tanegashimi as a starting point. And then the claws here that were the bird's claws, Teko Kagi, a melee armament that can be used during the Ninto Do real mode. It can be used to silently eliminate enemies by sneaking up on them. And lastly, this one here. Oh no, this is another one. I have to recombine it to show you the Beam Zanbato, which I think if you just add this sword to the front of this, it becomes the Beam Zanbato, which is a large output beam blade generated by attaching the Ninjato to the Magunashiki Tenegashimi. Its power is true to its name and is said to be powerful enough to slice through a Master Gundam Anafunasiki. So interestingly, with all that out of the way, I think it's a really cool look. You can swap this faceplate out to take over where that V-fin is, but it doesn't look great to me. I know they do it in the show. I just don't think it looks great. It doesn't lose articulation, which is something cool. It actually gains some in the leg, especially an unusual one that I haven't seen before, and I can show you that in just a bit. But I do like the way it looks. In proportion, it's actually really good. Let me show you compared to an HG Gundam. Of course, this isn't an HG. It is an SD still. But you can see it gained a lot of height, almost to the equivalent of my GBN Gundam. So he's pretty tall now, and he does maintain that look of the unicorn in destroy mode, and that is really cool. Let me show you some of the articulation real fast that it has still and gained. All right, so it does add one layer of articulation up here at the top, and that is inside this ball joint here. You can see that they just kind of added a little bit extra there, and that adds another dimension of flexibility there. It isn't necessary to use. In fact, it looks better if you don't, but it does maintain the normal elbow here. It just adds a little bit of depth to the arm section so that it has more of a high-grade look. The head is still articulated as it normally would be. The head is mounted still on the same ball joint as it was before, because this is what this was mounted to beforehand. He's just chilling there. The bottom here has a rotation because it just kind of sits in there. And that's probably the weak point of the real type. It's just rotating in there. There's nothing really holding them together. It's just kind of weight. And then the bottom section doesn't have any articulation except for that little rotation there. And I don't think that's on purpose. It's more like supposed to stay there. The bottom section, though, is the lowest section here. The hips are where the most action is. So you have the standard system up here, just like the SD does. They armored up that lower leg section. So this is where normally the foot would be on the SD mode, but you slide this into here and you gain an unusual section of flexibility that you can rotate the lower leg. It's not meant to do that. They do give you a lockout for that, so you can slide that in. But if you want to get some wild poses, you can get this guy doing the crazy leg over here, you know? So he is that kind of flexible if you wanted to do that. You don't have to, of course, but it is something that you can do. Let me put this back in place here. That is meant to lock out here. But then you do get this level of articulation as well. It isn't much, but then if you add in that bend here, you can get, let's see, just about here. 90 degrees, which is a lot more than you would normally get with an SD Gundam. The foot is, of course, attached to the flame piece that was on the Armed Armor Hattori right here. Go ahead and slide that back in. And you still have the articulation of that ankle guard. So while there is a lot to be offered with this new real type mode, of course you can swap out that faceplate for that one still. I wouldn't, because I don't like the way it looks, but that's just me. That is about the extent of what you get here out of the box. You can still swap out the weapons and hands, so you still have these hands here. Any of the weapons that you had before are still usable by this guy. Definitely a cool looking kit. I would highly recommend it to anyone who's interested in the Build Diver series. It's one of the best SDs out there. You know, using the cross silhouette system and combining it with parts to make it high grade style. Really, really cool. The downfalls of this kit are then the section here in the middle. I think that one is a sort of fail point. It's not too bad, but you know, you're not going to get any crunch or anything like that. But of course, it is an SD Gundam. It never had that to begin with. Not really, anyway. And then the amount of stickers. If you're really hateful with stickers, I definitely understand that. There are over 75 stickers on this sheet to play around with, and that does kind of make the building process a lot longer. It isn't terrible, if I'm honest. It was one of the easiest experiences I've had with stickers on SDs, but it isn't nothing, that's for sure. You will be spending some time on those. It's an exercise of patience. If you want to paint it, though, it's going to look amazing. I definitely think that a painted version of this kit is going to be top tier for what you see on Unicorn Gundams. And I definitely think it's worth the while. But that's all I'm going to spend time on with this guy. If you like Build Divers, if you like IMA, and if you're a fan of SD Gundams, definitely one of the cool options here for you. If you like Unicorn Gundam, the coolest looking Unicorn Gundams I've seen, with the mix of the Musha Gundam and that ninja style. I really do enjoy the way this came out. Very unique build. With that said, I will let you guys go. I'll see you guys next time. or you'll see me, but more than likely, you'll see my stuff. Bye-bye.